Hi and welcome back to Classic MGB. Now today we're somewhere pretty special. We're in the Peak District and we're at the Great British Car Journey, which is a relatively new museum. It's been going about 4 or 5 years, but actually they've made fantastic strides in that short time. There's so many cars here. And what's really good is they provide you free of charge as part of the entry, one of these interactive tablets with headphones, and there's QR codes on each car. So you can really find out exactly about the cars. So I reckon we haven't got a minute to lose. So I've caught up with Riley Smith, who is the marketing manager here at the Great British Car Journey. So Riley, tell me a bit about this place.
Well, it was set up about 4 years ago by a gentleman called Richard Usher, and he actually owned Blyton Raceway before here. He set that up.
Right, I didn't know that.
Before that, it was Wato windscreens. And he thought, you know, one day there's a little blue Maestro up there, and this little old man, he says, "Oh, I've got this old Maestro. Would you like it?" And he goes, "Maestro?" And then he thought back to himself. He thought, "When did the last time you saw a Maestro?" And that's where the idea for this place sort of like came into fruition. And so he bought the Maestro and started collecting cars. And he was like, "Well, you know, should we make a museum out of it?" So he started collecting more cars. He got more people involved, and then eventually they found this place in Derbyshire, this building which used to be an old wireworks.
Right.
And he set it up. But the whole idea about this is to make it more interactive.
Right.
The whole thing is an interactive museum.
Yeah.
And so that's why we've got the driving fleet, where you know people can come and drive some of these cars, which is totally unique.
And that is brilliant, isn't it?
Fantastic.
You know, I remember some of these cars from my past. My father had them, and it's like you kind of imagine how he went through it. You know, I mean, he crashed an Austin A40 and wrote one off.
Yeah, exactly.
And survived. But you know, it's a completely different world, isn't it?
It is totally different. And here, unlike a lot of places, we have the windows open. You can stick your head in. You can feel the smells. You can get the smells of these old cars, and you don't get that in a lot of places. And you can see the advertisements that we've got, and it just really takes you back to that time of motoring that was just a little bit nicer, a little bit more free, a little bit, you know. Yeah,
I mean, obviously you've got Gaydon, but Gaydon tends to be kind of prototypes and odd cars a lot of it.
Yeah, Gaydon's
whereas this is the cars that was parked on your drive, isn't it?
Exactly. Gaydon's a great place to learn more about the cars that sort of didn't come to fruition.
Yes.
And this is about the cars that did.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's the cars your dad had, your granddad had, your uncle had, you know. Even people who aren't interested in cars, they come here, they walk through and they go, "Oh, you know, I had one of those, and they go back to reception, Steve at reception, and they're like, "Oh, it was fantastic," and that's what we like, bringing people who aren't generally interested in cars here, and they love it. Yeah.
Well, that actually brings me to another point, because you know the classic car community tends to be, should we say, more senior?
Little, I don't want to offend you there. No.
But it's true, you know, lack of hair,
lack
grey,
of hair,
you know,
that's it. Yeah.
But you're obviously a youngster, and you were obviously into classic cars, which is interesting. Why?
Well, weirdly, my parents have no interest in classic cars whatsoever.
Really?
But my granddad does.
Okay.
He had sort of old cars back in the day, but we sort of go to car shows, things like that. And I've always been interested in minis, and my dream car was always a mini that I've now managed to get.
Oh, brilliant! What classic
mini, proper classic mini.
Super.
Yeah. I think it's good that me, a young person, and we've got other young people working here, like Luke the mechanic, he's only 21. Getting more young people in the car thing, the car scene is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
None of these chavvy backwards wheel spinning things. We don't like that. We like, you know, getting them into the proper classic car scene. That's what we want.
Absolutely. I mean, we were talking earlier that all but 2 or 3 of the cars actually drive.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is quite unusual, and that must be quite a big maintenance task. You mentioned Luke, your mechanic. So, I mean, he's a youngster. It's unusual to find a youngster that doesn't want to just plug a laptop in, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, he doesn't like laptops, you see. He came here as an apprenticeship, as did I, and he you know, was trained up, and now he's sort of the head mechanic here. And he just know, you know, he can see a car, oh, that sounds wrong, and he'll sort it. And it's you know, and he's only just starting out after the apprenticeship.
Right.
So he's already like got that, you know, that want to make these cars,
brilliant,
you know, work, and
that is fantastic.
It's great.
Okay, $1 million question.
Go on.
If I said to you can have one of the cars to take home and own forever, which one?
Blimmin' heck, that's quite a.
You've got to keep it though. You can't just sell it.
I can't just sell it. No, that's all there. That's good. I'll pick two. I like that MG Metro up there. That's a bit of me. I like a hot hatch.
Yeah.
And then, but I've got a Mini, so I can't say one of those. Ooh.
MGB.
MGB, yeah, MGB would be good. To be fair, I do want a GT. We've got a GT V8 up there.
Yeah, no, you can actually drive one,
and
can't you?
not the V8, but you can drive
a
GT. We've got a rubber bumper on our driving fleet, and it's got a bit of a hot exhaust on, so it sounds quite nice.
Oh, nice.
But, yeah, I'd say an MGB GT, genuinely. And that's not me, like, that is genuinely. My mate's got one, they're great.
Excellent. Right, well, there's absolutely so much to see, so I'll let you get on. Riley, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was a lovely chat.
Yeah.
And let's get on to see some of the cars.
Enjoy the museum.
Thank you. So the museum is divided into chapters, and this is chapter 357, 1957 to 1967. And if you think about probably the most iconic car, apart from, of course, the MGB, would be the Mini. And they've got an awful lot of Minis here. They've got this beautiful Woody. They've got originals. They've got newer stuff. They've got Clubmans. They've also got the very last Mini ever produced. Now, most people will know exactly what an Austin 7 is if you're of a certain age. My father used to regale me with tales of travelling from London down to Devon in the back of an Austin 7, complete with hat boxes. But they are iconic cars, and there's some beautiful examples here at the Great British Car Journey. Now, what comes to mind when a lot of people think of classic cars? I would say a lot of people would think the Morris Minor, whether that's the Traveller or the Woody or the Saloon. And this museum does actually have some quite iconic historic cars here. This, for example, is the very last Morris Minor Saloon. And it's lovely that somebody has bothered to keep it and look after it for generations to come. Now, one of the things I really like about this place is the way that they've positioned the cars. You've got all sorts of, so wherever you look, there's something really interesting. And some might think there's a bit of a juxtaposition really, because you've got this rather nice MG Metro next to a pretty standard Metro. And of course, probably my favorite car of the whole exhibition, this lovely 1975 MGB GT V8 in a, has to be said, 70s color. Of course, more sexist advertising, your mother wouldn't like it. My mother, I think, quite enjoyed cars, so she probably would. But it sort of signifies actually probably my favorite GT, and, you know, all the money in the world, I'd probably have one. And the other thing that's really good about this museum is it's littered with old advertising hoardings all over the place. And it's fascinating to see how advertising's changed over the years. Like, you can do it in an MG, and another one over there, someday you'll settle down with a nice sensible girl. As though girls never drove MGBs? As you'd expect, there's lots of lovely MGs here, including this 1953 TF. And the TF, if you didn't already know, is probably one of the cars that really introduced MG to the States. And of course, that was then backed up by the MGA and of course the MGB. But what a lot of people forget is they also used to produce saloons. The Magnet was very famous, and then the brand was used on a lot of other cars, things like this 1300, the MG 1300. There was the MG Metro, the MG Maestro, as well as lots of those other branded MG cars. Now, a lot of people say MG died when they left Abingdon, but I don't think that could be further from the truth, to be honest. If you go to look at the Longbridge cars, there's the MGF here and the MGTF, fantastic cars. There's a Rover stuck in between, and there's also the fantastic MG-ZR, 2003 car, and they're still very popular for racing. This museum has been put together by people that really love their cars, from the detailed descriptions of all the cars, the IT, the interactivity, and the merchandise, good quality stuff, t-shirts, prints, caps, mugs. You can buy pretty much anything here. Really good so far. Now, one of the really good things about the exhibits at this museum is that they're not just stuck away in some glass case or whatever. You can actually look right in, and this is a very special car. It's iconic. It's actually Princess Anne's Reliant Scimitar, and you can tell, funnily enough, by the emblem on the bonnet, and I think it's probably got some strengthening along the way. Talking of famous cars, probably the most expensive car here. It apparently was the most expensive car on the list when it came out. It's a 1996 Bentley Continental T, and it was, as I said, the most expensive car on the list until the McLaren F1 came out. And what's special about this car? It used to be owned by Elton John. Now, of course, we are the Classic MGB channel, but that doesn't mean we don't recognise triumphs as well. There's always been this rivalry. I've never quite seen it myself, because I actually looked quite seriously at GT6 before I bought my MGB-GT. Now, I think I've made the right decision with the MGB-GT, but I look at the GT6 sometimes and think, yeah, it's quite nice. And of course, the Spitfire, there's a TR6 behind, right next to an Austin Maxi. One of the really special things about this place is it's the cars that you remember in your youth, or I certainly do. And this one really struck a chord. My dad had one of these. It's an Escort Mark 1 1300 GT. His was red, and I love this car. I used to sit in this car and draw pictures of the dash. I mean, how sad was I? But it's just a car that I remember with a lot of fondness. Now, the whole focus of this museum is, of course, the Great British Car Journey. And we've kind of come towards the end of the British car journey with Toyota, Japanese. But actually, if you look, they've made 4 million cars in the UK. May not be owned by the British, but at least it's employing British workers. And this Carina here they've got is the very first one that came off the production line at Burnaston, just up the road. Now, if you probably gathered, there is so much to do here, and we've actually run out of time. We haven't managed to see or film half the things that we could have done, but hopefully this has given you a really good overview of this fantastic museum. All I can say is if you're anywhere near this place, get here. It's brilliant. The details are in the description below. And I haven't even driven one of these cars, so I think without a doubt, we're going to be back. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like, give it a share, and subscribe to the channel, because all those things help get our content out to people. As always, many thanks for watching, and take care.